I have decided in my life there's a lot of things I'm not doing anymore, and going to the mail place is right at the top of the list of shit I'm not doing.
I completely agree.
We're on. Okay. All right. Well, hey, welcome. Hey, Ed, welcome. Real pleasure to have you. Real pleasure to have you here. This is a podcast that is attorneys talking to each other.
It's like the Seinfeld show.
It is. It's a show about nothing. It's literally going to be a podcast about nothing.
That was a pretty successful show, though.
We may be onto something. There's a lot of nothing. So people want to know what we do, Ed. What do we do for fun?
Played very bad golf.
Yes. So let's talk about that. A course record was set.
Course record
was set.
Seton had the most mulligans ever used in one round of golf.
And still came in last, which was shocking. Now, I want to talk about your strategy for your driving on the first 4 holes, you were right down the middle, beautiful drives. And then for the next like 14 holes,
pretty much,
you decided that you would hit the ball on the ground and to the left. Well, so tell me about that strategy.
Well, I figured those first 4 holes were relatively easy. And so after the 4th hole, I thought to make the game more challenging and start really, really trying to hit my driver far. And that turned into 85 yards.
To the left, on the ground, every single time.
Every single time,
no matter what. Very consistent.
And then that way I would have, next to impossible second shots that I would have to hit, which I did.
And then you executed them. It was shocking. The number of holes you bogeyed after having an 85-yard drive was shocking to me.
Every hole.
And somehow you beat me. Somehow I'm talking all this trash and you still beat me.
Every single hole. I said if I could ever actually put it all together,
you'd be good. You would have shot like 71. You would have had a new course record.
Yeah, it might be decent at that game.
All right.
But I used my own balls this time.
So let's tell this story. I'm going to tell this story. So Ed and I are in Kentucky. Jay Vaughn invited us out for the Kentucky Derby, and it was awesome because we were with Eric Penn, Aaron Broussard, and Jay Vaughn, Ed and I, and our wives.
Yep.
The 10 of us out there. And the first day we decided to go golfing. Well, I had bought a box of Pro V1 golf balls, and for those of you that golf, that's an expensive golf ball. Those are very nice. One might consider it a top-end golf ball. Ed, on the other hand, bought like Top Flights, the cheapest golf balls that were available.
I just grabbed them out of the. I just grabbed them, whatever was at the counter.
Yeah.
In the pro shop. It's like, just give me those.
Yeah. And so Ed has these awesome golf balls.
Shitty balls.
And this course is set up to where it wasn't exactly hard, except for the grass was the rough was like 6 inches tall. And if your ball went off the fairway, you'd lose your ball.
And rough. I mean, like really rough.
And so Ed hit a lot of balls not on the fairway. So I'm playing the game and we get through and I'm like on the 16th hole and I go to get one of the sleeves of my golf balls that I had bought because I now needed another golf ball. And I look at Ed, I'm like, dude, where are my golf balls? And I go, have you been using my golf balls? He goes, the golf ball's a golf ball.
I go, I think I have.
My entire box of Pro V1s were gone. All of them. All 12.
No, they're not gone. They're still in Louisville. They're still in Kentucky on that golf course somewhere. But yeah, so I owe you a box of Pro V.
So in response, I found a bag of used golf balls that were in storage here in California for my house, and I gave Ed the bag of golf balls so he could use as many as he wants. And I hid my box of Pro V1s this time.
There was dirty old white balls. There's a red ball, a blue ball, a green ball.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, there was a blue golf ball.
Yeah, there was a blue ball.
There was a blue golf ball.
There was a blue golf ball.
It was I don't know why anybody would use that. It's hard enough to find a white ball.
It was very blue too. So yeah.
Did you guys not get the joke there?
Yes, we got the joke.
Making sure. I was a little bit worried.
Come on. Come on. Sure. Come on. We're trying to keep it PG over
Maria's
here.
off.
No, not.
Maria's not on camera right now. You can't see her, but she's off camera. So look, a lot of people, everybody hears about us talking about, law stuff all the time and trial stuff all the time. But, I will say that not doing law stuff is a lot of fun too.
Oh,
So here I want to tell the story about going to Kentucky,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
this was a trip that was planned out like a year ahead of time.
I think it was literally a year, almost a year before the Derby. Jay asked us to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had never met Eric Penn or Aaron Broussard. So those guys were new friends that I met. Great dudes.
Yeah.
And so, I already know. Yeah. There's some stories here. So if you haven't ever experienced the Kentucky Derby, it was fantastic. It was the first time. I'd never been to a horse race before.
I've been to horse races, but never the Derby.
Yeah. So I'd never been to a horse race or bet on a horse race, and it was a blast. But we go there. Now, I want you to talk about, let's talk about something that I didn't know about you. You were a great cook.
Oh, well, I enjoy cooking very much. And when we were setting this up, we were going to golf on Thursday, and I had been away with Eric and Jay on a sailing trip, and I knew Eric makes like really good guacamole and huevos rancheros. So they were like, "Oh, we'll cook, breakfast, one day." And I said, "Oh, Jen and I will cook dinner after golf," which I knew. Me saying Jen and I will cook really translated into me cooking, and her helping me with prep, and then kind of scooting out, going and hanging out with everybody, which is fine. That's totally, I've enjoyed doing it. But so we decided to cook, cook an Italian meal for everybody, that night, which we did, and had a blast doing it.
So this isn't like spaghetti and garlic bread.
No,
I mean, there was garlic bread.
There was.
It was delicious, and
Yeah.
there was pot, but stuffed lemons.
yeah.
This was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'd never had it before.
Yeah, so we went to Italy, God, probably 10 years ago. We actually went to cooking school in Umbria at this place called La Tavola Marche. It's this little agriturismo, and it was me and my wife, and we actually took Tess with us because she was a little bit too young to stay home. We were gone for like 2 weeks. And that was one of the things that they showed us how to make. And it just blew me away. I mean, you literally, you scoop out the lemon, but you save the guts and everything. And then you stuff the lemons you can stuff them with whatever you want. I mean, we stuffed them with, vegetables and cheese and, herbs and some spices. And then you just bake them. And, people go crazy for them.
It was a phenomenal dinner. It was better than you get in a restaurant.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic dinner. And it became this really cool thing because everybody was cooking. And then, unfortunately, my wife, Lou, and I didn't appreciate, how this was a cooking commitment.
She stepped it up the other night.
She did. So to make it up, my wife, being my wife's from the Philippines.
Yeah. It was
we've
delicious.
been together since we were 16, and she's a very good cook.
The Korean steak was outstanding.
Yeah. So
outstanding.
Yeah, we did a little salmon, Korean steak, fried rice.
It was all good. All good. So how about this? Funny story about Maria, even though she's off camera. So she says to me the other day, she goes, "Hey, I want to learn how to can tomatoes." I said, "Okay." I said, "You got to buy some shit. It's a process." She goes, No. Like, I just want to can them for a day and then use them at night. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, but like for like sauce." I go, "That's not canning." I said, "You just want to make tomatoes, like tomato sauce?" So she goes, "Well, yeah, I just want to make like tomato sauce, but I don't want to make it with the cherry tomato thing that you gave me before. I want to do it like a traditional sauce." I said, "Oh, well, all right." She goes, "Can I do that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You need about 6 pounds of Roma tomatoes. You need to blanch them. You need to peel the skin." She goes, "Oh, that's too much." What I learned about Maria is she will not cook anything that takes longer than exactly 6 minutes to prepare and make in its entirety.
I want to talk about something else. So we're having dinner in Kentucky. You make this amazing Italian dinner, but then you blow me away.
Oh.
You blow me away. I'm a huge wine guy. I love wine. And you give me this bottle and you're like, "Here, this is my wine." You're not just a winemaker, award-winning wine.
We have. So we've won. Actually, yours arrived today at your office.
Did it?
Yeah. So
fantastic.
make sure nobody's make sure nobody's taking it. We have the guys that I make wine with, it's like the 103rd year of this winemaking operation. So a guy named Jimmy Sperling, who's a good buddy of mine, asked me about a dozen or so years ago to start making wine with these guys. And it was Jimmy's wife, Mary Kay, her great-grandfather started doing it, and then her grandfather and her father, and kind of passing it on through the generations. And now the really cool thing is like, my son Josh helps out, making it as well. There's this other guy, Joe, his kids are, helping out. Jimmy's, son-in-law helps out. So now kind of passing it on to the next generation. But we, every year we do an experimental barrel, and the Petit Shiraz was our experimental barrel about 7 or 8 years ago. And it was so good. We entered it, in a competition, and we won. And so, they've had this competition every year. They obviously had to take a break during COVID, but, we've won like 5 years for the Petit Shiraz category. We've won an award for that. So yeah.
And it is delicious wine. It's really good.
It's pretty good. Now, when I say like the experimental barrel, like we've made there's been a couple years like we tried to make almost like a Bordeaux, type of blend, or Bordeaux, like a cab and big cab. And it was fucking terrible. Like it was so bad. I mean, like we let it sit for a year, and like we literally tasted it like, oh, this is awful. So that became cooking wine. We had 30 cases of cooking wine. But yeah, we do that. We do Petit Shiraz, we do Old Vine Zinfandel every year. And then we'll, the experimental barrel this year is Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, Grenache, and
love Cab Franc.
Yeah, a little bit of Merlot. So Jimmy actually tasted some of it the other day, and he said it's really starting to come together. So it's we'll bottle that. Depending on the heat in Pennsylvania, we'll probably bottle it. If it doesn't get too hot and humid, then we'll wait, let it sit until the end of the summer. But if it gets hot and humid, we'll probably bottle it next month sometime. So, but yeah.
We'll have to get labels made.
Yeah. Well, the one year, so my son Josh, he when he was in college, he came to us and he said, I'm going to take a semester off, and I want to buy a bus or a van, renovate it, and then I want to travel up and down the East Coast cleaning up beaches. And he was calling it Save the Wave, right? And so he did it. He did it for about a year until COVID hit, but he had all these stickers. So COVID hits, and so the one year we had thousands of stickers, and so we put all these Save the Wave stickers on all the wine bottles. But that's the only time we've ever had a label, on the actual wine bottle. And everybody's always saying, put a label on. I'm like, whenever you realize how much work it is to make wine, the last thing you want to do is add more work to making wine, which would be, putting the labels on the goddamn bottle. So
all you do is you hire your 16-year-old kids and their friends to do the labels. And what could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? It'll be sideways, upside down, everything else. But no, we enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. Now, I'm also mindful of the fact that we were having my wine after we had been, having a day long golfing and cigars and cocktails. And so, it'll be interesting when you try it for the first time.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna still give it a gold medal.
Yeah.
You're my first friend who's ever made wine that I'm drinking and enjoying.
That. Everybody always they ask about like the process, and it is backbreaking work. I mean, it really is, because we get the grapes trucked in or trained in and to put on a truck.
Yeah, you were telling me this. You get your grapes from Napa.
Yeah, we usually get the Petit Shiraz grapes most oftentimes from Lodi. And then the Old Vine Zinfandel comes from either Sonoma or St. Helena. We have gotten the Lodi grapes from, there's one other place up there that we got them from, but most oftentimes they come from Lodi. and they're delicious. I mean, it's just really good.
And from California to Pennsylvania.
Put them on it. They put them on a train.
They put them on a train.
They put them on a train in a big container, and then they come into the rail station in Pittston, Pennsylvania. And my buddy Jimmy used to own a company called Circle Bolt Nut. He still has, box truck. They back the box truck up, they offload it, and then they drive it up to his house. And then we have a whole system where everybody from the truck to inside the little garage that we make wine in. There's a bunch of pulleys, and slide them in and throw them in a big, that's called a destemmer. You put them in there and takes the stems out, crushes the grapes. Then you put them in these big 55-gallon drums and let them sit. So, that's how they start to ferment. They sit for about 2 weeks. And then from there, you put them into a press. And the cool thing about what we do is our presses were made in the 1920s. So Mary Kay's father was a fabricator. And he made these. So like we're using presses that are
100 years old.
100 years old. And so then we press the grapes. Then they go from there. They go into the barrels, and they sit in the barrels for a couple months until we bottle them.
What kind of barrels do you use?
So we used to use French oak, and then one year there was a wood mite that got into the barrels. About 2 weeks before we were supposed to start making wine. So Jimmy and I worked out at the same gym, and he comes running over, and he's like in a complete panic. And he's like, we have a huge problem. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, a wood mite got into the barrels, and he said, we were spraying them out last night. And he's like, water's just shooting out of the barrels everywhere. So, I mean, we make a lot of wine. I mean, we make usually between 700 and 800 cases a year. So,
wow. So it's like almost 10,000 bottles.
Yeah, yeah. And so we had, I think at that point we had 25 French oak barrels, and they were all shot.
Oh,
every one of them. So
that's a big cost.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Not good. So there's, in the Finger Lakes, regions of New York, there's a bunch of wineries. And so, Jimmy, I don't know how, but he found a guy that had 6 big, huge stainless steel barrels for sale, like the silos. And within 2 days, he had them trucked down, set up. And so we make them in the stainless steel barrels. And you put in these like oak, in order to get the oakiness, like the French oak, they have like these tablets, and you put them in, and it gives it the French oak flavor, essence. But it is so much easier putting them in that than, the French oak barrels, because you just have to turn the barrels and rack them, and it was a lot. Lift them, and so I'm much happier that with the stainless steel barrels, and it's just easier. Temperature control is better. The mice don't get in them. I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, we've had field mice, like, you're cleaning out the barrels.
Some drunk ass mice.
Oh yeah, they were dead. I mean, and there's a bunghole on it that has a cork, and you're like, how in the world did the mouse actually get in there? But there's been dead mice and birds. I mean, all kinds of shit. So yeah,
I imagine that's not good for the wine.
It could be, depending. You never know, depending on what it is. It certainly could be. But yeah, it's a fun thing to do. It's a really fun hobby to have, for sure. And one of these days we'll, have to make our dream of owning a winery together come true.
I like that idea. I do. I do.
Our wives did not.
Our wives
did not like that idea.
They were not on board.
No.
They were not on board. But the Catholic way to handle it is to just do it and be like, hey, surprise, we own a winery.
Yeah.
This is the thing. And since we own it, we may as well do it. We got to start cost dollar averaging down by producing wine now.
Got to do something at this point. Yes. I'm not sure that would go well with either one of our wives, who, by the way, got along fabulously.
They did.
And it was really cool, like leading up to the Derby, that Lou, came to Philly and hung out with Jen and Ophelia, and they had a blast.
Well, and here's the scary part. I don't know if people know this, but apparently in Philadelphia, if you buy clothes or something like this, there's like no tax.
No sales tax on clothing.
On clothing.
Mm-hmm. No sales tax on clothing.
I mean, for Maria's purse, that could save her thousands of dollars in just tax.
Listen, I hear all the time how, from my wife and my daughters, how they're saving me money by buying their stuff in Pennsylvania.
My daughter and wife tell me, my son and I, that same thing, and we explain to them that's girl math.
It is. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The other women math, right?
Oh, women math? Yes. Oh, Maria's telling me that it's actually a thing called women's math, not girls' math.
Right.
Women's math. Women's math.
Well, the other women's math that they were telling me about the other day. So it's prom and graduation season. So somehow they aggregate all these dresses and for these events. And they'll buy like 5 dresses. I'm like, well, you're going one night, right? What's going on? They're like, don't worry about it. Whatever doesn't fit us, we get a credit. We send it back and we get a credit. I said, but you're buying more stuff with the credit. That's not an actual credit. Like, this is not, it's not going back on my credit card. You're using it to purchase other things. They're like, yeah, but it's not like we buy that dress. I'm like, oh.
The amount of work, I got to say the same. My wife buys stuff online, right? And it's a lot, getting ready for Kentucky Derby. It was a lot. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm returning it. I don't like it. I'm returning it. And I thought to myself, there's 0% chance if I buy something, I'm returning it.
Oh,
the effort to repack it and go to the
no chance
mail place and return it.
No way.
0%. I'm not doing
listen, go to the mail place. You haven't gone to a mail place. You don't even know where the mail place is.
I don't. I wouldn't do it. I tell you, whatever you call it, FedEx or whatever you want to call it, mail place.
That's even full. You're handing that to somebody at your firm and saying, take care of this. Take this to the mail place.
Listen. I don't do mail place things. I'm not gonna box something up, and that's why. But I don't buy anything because I don't want to have to return it.
I'm the same way. I would never return it. It would be way too much. Way too much.
You just
effort.
end up keeping it doesn't look great. Well, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
I now
swung and miss on that one.
Yeah.
Oh well. But I'll know better. I don't have to take it to the mail place.
The mail place. I mean, listen, I have decided in my life there's a lot of things I'm not doing anymore. And going to the mail place is right at the top of the list of shit I'm not doing.
I completely agree.
There's lots of mail places, by the way. I got to tell you, my wife, she asked, she was busy. And then she goes, can you go to the mail places? I'm like, how many mail places are there? And she gives me the list.
Right.
I got to go to all these different places to return the stuff that she didn't want so she could get a credit.
Got to get the credit.
So that the next time she doesn't spend any money on it.
Well, I knew...
Women math, Maria. It's women math.
I knew there might have been a slight problem whenever Jen says, hey, on your way to work, can you drop these couple boxes off at the UPS store? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I walk into the UPS store and the guy's like, how's Jen doing? I'm like, why is the UPS guy on a first name basis with my wife? And then he goes, Sophia and Tess good? I'm like, how often are they coming in here? They're like, well, Sophia's here or Tessa's here all the time. With Jen, they're buying stuff, returning stuff. I'm like, man, there's like a whole economy that's going on.
Unbelievable.
No idea. No idea.
Maria, do you shop like that?
I just don't return them.
Oh, you just keep them.
You keep them.
Problem.
You just keep them. So
It's not good.
And then let me ask you this. How often a year are you donating clothes that you never wore?
All the fucking time, Sean.
Wow.
All the time.
Wow.
I mean, sometimes I'm good and I do return them, especially if they're expensive. I just have to put it in a box and print the label and put it on the box.
That is too much work.
It is too much work.
Okay, first of all, so here's the thing. I wouldn't even know. I don't know how any printers work. They're amazing devices. At my office, we created, we have all this stuff where, to print something, you have to have like a code. And then the client has a code. So it knows like.
You just stare at it. I just stare at him like.
I don't know how to use it. I've not made a copy in probably a decade.
No, I will tell you, I'm thinking about the mail place though. So I shipped out your wine, right?
Yeah.
And
from the mail place?
Well, which is my office, but they had to take it to the mail place, right? And so
people are going to be looking for this store called the Mail Place.
It's not a bad name, right?
It's not bad.
It's not a bad
Mail
name.
Place.
We should start call it the Mail Place.
Is it a clothing store?
Is it
like a UPS?
Yeah, well, that's whatever you call it.
Oh, that is a great
name. There you go. See, it says the exact purpose of what the business is.
You know what it should be? But it should be able to take any type of, like it could be UPS, USPS, FedEx,
there you
DHL.
Go. Any mail place. Boom! Look at that.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That's it. Right after the winery.
When this business gets started and we make millions of dollars from it, we'll say that it was my idea about the Mail Place. It would be so convenient to have one place that DHL and FedEx and UPS and even the Postal Service would come and pick it up.
So I'm shipping the wine out. And so what I did is I repurposed a bunch of, like a Stag's Leap box and Orange Swift box. So I'm putting it all in, and so you'll appreciate it when you actually see it. All the like stuffing in these boxes, I didn't have it anymore. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go to the mail place and like buy like peanuts and shit, right? So, we have a zillion Fellerman and Ciarimboli t-shirts all around. So like, I'll just shove them in the box.
Are they used ones?
No, they're brand new. Oh. But I mean, we have thousands. We have a buddy who he's the king of tchotchkes. Like he owns it's called Ad Pro Printing. And
I mean, listen, nobody loves firm swag more than me.
Yes.
I mean,
well, you're going to have about 20 Fellerman and Ciarimboli t-shirts packed into your wine box it prevented the wine bottles from moving around. So Jay gets his yesterday. He calls me. He's like, man, thanks for the wine. But what the fuck? I'm like, why? He goes, you sent me medium t-shirts. What am I going to do with a medium t-shirt?
Yeah, seriously, what kind of man wears a medium t-shirt,
I'm like,
Ed?
Hey, whoa, slow down.
I only know that Ed wears a medium t-shirt because, I don't know if you guys see this, but the Jury Ball t-shirt he got yesterday.
I know, it's a medium.
Yeah, it's a medium.
And
it's really comfortable.
It fits me perfect. Yeah. Nice t-shirts, by the way. But yeah, Jay's like, what am I going to do with a medium t-shirt? I said, Jay, the purpose I wasn't putting the t-shirts in there so that you could wear them, give them away, use them as kitchen towels. I don't care what you do with them. I just didn't want the wine bottles to break, for God's sakes. So I'm packaging all this wine up. And the reason I say this is we're going away on vacation next week to Virgin Gorda. And I call up the lady. I'm like, because it's not easy to like buy alcohol and everything down there. So I was like, can I just ship some wine down? She's like, oh, absolutely. She's like, but make sure it's like really packaged. Okay, fine. I get the box and I'm at home and I'm packaging it up and I'm like, I need to like really so I get the duct tape, which and I'm taping everything else, taping it up. And I write on it like this side up, fragile. And the girls come in and they're like, that looks like a fucking bomb. It's all duct taped up. And they're like, there's no way that is going to make it to Virgin Gorda. It's not going to happen.
Where's Virgin Gorda?
Virgin Gorda is in the British Virgin Islands.
Okay.
So,
dude, that's when you're fancy as hell. You're going on vacations to places I never even heard of. Never even heard of it.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But
how many bottles did you ship for yourself?
A whole dozen.
A dozen. For how many days are you there?
6 days.
Okay, days. That's fair.
Yeah, 6 days, and just wine and champagne. So it's it's going to be much needed because my whole family's going. Kids are going, and then my wife's sister and my brother-in-law and my niece and nephews are going as well.
Oh, that's great.
It's going to be, so
you didn't ship enough wine.
I didn't ship booze, which I'm going to have to buy in St. Thomas as soon as I get there because. My wife and her sister, they love each other, but like after 3 days, it could go south quickly. So we're going to need to have plenty of booze to calm everybody down during this trip.
You know, booze can go either way.
It can.
You know, booze can calm, or they could agitate a little bit.
I think it'll be a calming. But now, speaking of trips, though, tell me more about Greece, because we got talking about a little bit about it the other day.
We did.
And I think I had asked you what your favorite place was, and then you got a phone call. So you actually never finished telling me what was
my
your
favorite place in Greece.
Yeah.
That we did. Okay, so it's a tough question. It's really we stayed in this beautiful hotel in Athens Riviera, which is a nice part of Athens, called One and Only. It was beautiful. It was really fantastic, and that was a really nice place.
Yeah.
The food, of course, is especially on the diet that essentially I'm living on, which is, you know, very little red meat these days and low fat.
Yeah. Very Mediterranean diet.
Very Mediterranean diet. So it was a perfect trip to really enjoy a lot of food. I will say, I think Santorini, probably, we were on the south tip of Santorini, so that in the evening times, you saw the video we sent you, we had this pool, infinity pool, that essentially kind of overlooks the cliff.
It's breathtaking.
And the sun set directly at the pool level. So that you're in the pool and the sun's setting. And it was just, you know, the best part about the trip was I didn't call or talk to anybody the whole time.
That's very cool.
I'd wake up in the mornings, I'd respond to emails, send out text, respond to text, but I wouldn't take phone calls.
Although you did respond to a couple of text messages in our Kentucky Derby group.
I did, yes, of course. I mean, and you know, I want Jay Vaughn to know that my wine that Ed shipped to me all came with double X or XL shirts. They all fit me perfect.
Appropriately.
Yeah, appropriately, Jay. So I don't know. I don't know what he's saying to you. I mean, he didn't say it to me.
I'm trying to inspire him.
He's trying to inspire Jay Vaughn.
But what made you guys pick Greece?
So we do a trip. We try to do an annual trip out of the country to expose the kids to other cultures. And every fourth year, each one of us gets to pick a place. So
very cool.
Yeah. So Lou picked, I picked Spain. I picked Madrid a couple years ago because I was working with John and Alicia starting drafting the book that is now done. And so that was my pick. Last year, my son picked Australia. And it was my wife's turn to pick this year, and she picked Greece.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And so, you know,
I don't know if I want to give my kids the choices like that. For God, I mean,
you know, it's fun because you never know where you're going to go.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. You know,
we have areas. We have like no-go zones.
Okay, gotcha.
So like no Middle East.
Gotcha. Yeah, like Jake, my oldest, Jake. You met Jake.
Yeah, we can't go to Russia or Ukraine.
Yeah, like Jake would be like, yeah, you know where we should go? Let's go to Romania or like Rwanda, or, you know, and be like, whoa, that's not happening.
Yeah, no. So we have like some areas that are in war right now that.
Right.
We wouldn't go to Israel right now, although I'd like to go to Israel.
I would love to go to Israel.
So it's just not right now. Yeah. You know, it's just not safe. So I think, you know,
where's next year? Who gets to pick next year?
Well, next year, so we'll probably, I think next year kind of picked itself. My nephew, who lived with us for several years and kind of acted as like a nanny for the kids, he had moved from the Philippines to become a pilot and was doing pilot school in Las Vegas and lived at our house with us.
Okay.
And so he's like a big brother to my kids. And his wedding is in January in Manila, in the Philippines. So we are going to go to South Korea on the way out there because my nephew Alex, who is co-owner of Paramount Focus Groups, his mom, who passed away sadly and unfortunately recently, was from Korea, and we're going to go there and spread her ashes.
Very cool.
And then let Alex see what South Korea is for a little bit. I've never been to Korea, so this will be a great trip.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go down to the Philippines, and we're going to go to Boracay, which I'll tell you, Boracay is an island. The Philippines has thousands of islands, but Boracay is a particular island that has the purest sand in the world.
Really?
And so when you go out to this beach here in Huntington Beach, it gets hot and the sand gets really hot.
Yeah.
Right. And you go to some beaches, so hot.
Yeah.
In Boracay, the sand is so pure, it doesn't heat up.
No way.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's 100 degrees
It's
outside.
like powdery sand too.
It's the sand that they build these sand castles there.
Right.
That are unbelievable because you can form. It's just different.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
And the water in Boracay is crystal clear. You can see 150 feet down.
Very cool. How long are you going for?
That's probably going to be a little bit longer trip because we're going to do the South Korea bit.
Yeah.
I would imagine we're probably going to go for probably 15
awesome.
days or so.
That's awesome.
And when my son's taking his two best friends, his college buddies,
very cool,
that he grew up with out here. And then it's going to be my nephew, his girlfriend / fiance / wife by then, I don't know. And then my brother-in-law, my wife's brother. And then Lou and Ella will meet us in the Philippines because they have, my daughter has school.
Gotcha.
So Ella has school. So
are you good? Are you good on long plane rides like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm great.
I can't. Can you sleep on planes?
If it becomes a bed, I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually,
I used to be able to sleep on planes. I can't friggin' sleep on planes.
I have mastered the art of like the hour-long flight from Vegas to Reno.
Yeah.
I will get in the plane, tilt my head. I always get the window seat. So I can tilt my head against the window, and I will sleep from before we take off to the second we land.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah,
you're one of the guys I look at. I'm like, that son of a bitch. How's he do it?
Yeah, living on the road the way that we probably both do.
Yeah.
Plane rides have become a source of get the sleep when you can.
Yeah.
And so
you know what I stopped doing though on plane rides anymore? I don't work.
I try not to. I mean, when I was coming back from Australia, that was a really tricky trip because that was 2023 was brutal.
Yeah, you're in trouble. Constantly.
Almost the entire year. And so I had promised the family I would do this trip to Australia, but it was really like anxiety-ridden trip because
a lot of shit going on.
I had just finished a trial.
Yeah.
Got on the plane, go to Australia. I had another trial starting the day we landed, the next day.
Oh my God.
And so I'm on the wrong time zone. And
wrong day.
Yeah. It was brutal. And so what I did the entire trip back, because I had to get my sleep right.
Yeah.
I worked for like 16 hours straight.
Right.
Rereading and doing some real technical work on some depositions and crosses that I was working on.
Got it.
And on that trip, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. So on this trip that we just did to Greece, I watched a bunch of movies. I slept, had wine.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I had to do a little work.
Right.
And I got all my work. We were on the tarmac, and it was like 45 minutes of work.
Yeah.
That's it.
Banged it out. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to get this done before we take off. And I did.
Yeah.
I got it done, and that was it. And so, yeah, I am not, the idea of working on those long flights is just.
Well, especially like the stuff that we do too. Like, you land and then you're going right to do something. You're going to prep, or you're going to a meeting, or you're going to a deposition, or so like there's no, like I realized, I'm like, wait a second. If I'm working on the plane and then I'm working off, there's no downtime. So I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I do want to, there's a question. We were at dinner last night, and an attorney posed a question to me. It was a good question, and it was one that I think it will give some substance. Not a lot of substance to this podcast. I mean, let's be honest, there is very little substance to this podcast. Maria's sitting here in disbelief that she is thinking that this is a good idea at this point. So the question was this: when did you finally feel like you were a really good trial lawyer and you didn't have the this idea that, a lot of us feel like we have this imposter syndrome, that we're kind of not legitimately really good at what we do.
That's a really interesting question, because like I come to an event like this and like I listen to you speak and, some of these just giants in our business. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, that was really good. Like I would have never thought of that or done that. So, so it's when you asked me that question last night, I was like, I don't know if I've gotten to the point yet where I'm like, I feel 100% comfortable. And I don't know if I ever want to, because, I think that's like the drive and the fire is like, I still want to learn from you and learn from Jordan and learn from Rex Parrish and, Sagi and all these people that I have just true admiration for, that are putting in the time and work and really to perfect their craft. And, so I think I have, a lot of now, confidence, right? But that confidence, I don't want to ever be overly confident, if that makes any sense.
No, right. I think that's right. Right. I mean, I think look at this, our lunches here.
Honest to God. But and we got some, but the other thing is like, and you and I were talking about this the other day, like we also still have this like weird.
This is like we finally are the deepest part of the conversation, and Maria's making a lot of noise.
It took you that long to make it.
Well, come on, the good stuff. We were talking about the other day, like we still have this weird thing where like we just think it could all go away.
Yeah.
And, I mean, poverty is a great motivator. And the reality is like, it probably can. You've built a great business. We've built a pretty good business as well. And there's a good foundation there. But so that's also one of those things like, I think you push yourself, I push myself to get better, to learn more.
Can Maria make more noise?
Look at that. Honest to God. Thank you. But I will say one of the one really interesting thing recently, when you're saying like, when did you realize like I had pretty, nice case that with a trucking company, and they called me up and said, let's not go through all the, gyrations of litigation. Let's just sit down and let us resolve your case. I don't know if I get that call 10 years ago. I don't think it happens, because I don't think that I'd earned that level of respect in that industry, in that space. And so that was like pretty cool, because I'm thinking like, I'm not getting a call from the adjuster. I'm getting a call from the general counsel head of litigation of risk management of this huge company. And, they're saying, I want to, come to Philadelphia, sit down and talk to you, not with a mediator, talk to you about resolving this case. And so I think like that was the moment. I was like, wow, okay. I think we're doing something right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a moment that I was like, all right, like when you were talking about like, you're sitting there looking around and you're like, oh yeah, this is me. I did this. Like, this beautiful space. I own this, and I worked hard for this. And so I think that there's those moments that you have where you're like, all right, yeah, we're on the right path. But also trying to still push the envelope as much as we can.
Yeah, I think the question was great last night at dinner, because I was like, nobody's really ever asked me that.
Yeah, no, it's a cool question.
But sure. I think I think that it's normal. It's a very normal feeling when attorneys. I remember when I always thought to myself, I saw all these people getting these verdicts. I'm like, man, if I ever get an 8-figure verdict,
yeah,
I'm really going to be something. I'll be made.
Yeah,
And I remember getting my first verdict, and all I heard was everybody chattering about how lucky I got.
Yeah.
And then it was like the worst I've ever felt as a lawyer, because it's like, oh my gosh, what if I never get another opportunity to prove that I'm not a one-hit wonder?
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to be a one-hit wonder.
No question about it.
You know, it's almost
you haven't been, but but I get it.
It's this fear, and then I go, you know, and you get another one, but then that feeling didn't go away.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I still feel? And a lot of people, Andrew Garza was at dinner, my partner out in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And, you know, Garza's 36.
Great dude.
Great dude.
Great dude.
Congrats
on that.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
That's
the new firm,
fantastic.
Claggett, Sykes and Garza out in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But Andrew Garza's 36. And he's got an 8-figure verdict, multiple 7-figure verdicts, and 9-figure verdict.
Yeah, he's killing it. I mean,
and he made a comment last night that the loneliest he's ever felt was after he got his biggest verdict.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that's an emotion that is understandable. I mean, some of the loneliest, biggest downer moments I have emotionally is after trial. I get huge verdict, great result. And it's I don't feel good.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. I have the same feeling, because it's just that you've poured all this energy into this, and it's this living, breathing thing, the trial, you know, the workup, the trial, and you go in there and you're doing it, and then it's just gone.
Right. And for me, it's like, I can help. As long as the trial's going, I'm helping.
Yeah.
As long as this process is going, I'm helping you.
Yeah. Yep.
But then when it's over,
I
know the reality of what's going to happen next. And that is that I have to go to the next trial, and I can't help you anymore.
Yeah.
The help I've done is done. It doesn't mean that I don't have relationships with my clients afterwards. I still talk to a lot of my clients, but they're having to move forward with the closure of this event.
And you just hit on the word closure. Like, I think that we bring them closure of that particular part of that grief journey.
Right.
And because you know how it is, like, when you have clients that have gone through tremendous trauma, like, them being involved in the litigation, they're still fighting.
Yeah.
They're fighting for themselves. They're fighting for their family. They're fighting there's something there. There's a purpose for them. And then when that's over, for them, like, what's next?
Right.
And we go, you know, I think we forget, so like, we go on to fight for somebody else, but like, you know, so we've really recognized that with a lot of our clients, and we've recommended to many of them, like, and told them, like, when the trial is over or the case is over, then the really hard work is going to begin for you and your family, because we're still always going to be there, but like, you're not going to get a call from us every week. You're not going to be at our office prepping however many times. You're not going to be going to, you know, focus groups. And so you're going to have to fill that void somehow. And it's hard I mean, we've had some clients like that have really struggled after the case is over.
Yeah.
And so try to be a little bit more mindful of that now, for sure. Yeah.
Well, look,
we got to wrap it up.
This is it.
I'm going to plug Sean's book before we go buy Jury Ball. The Exciting Life of Being Trial Lawyers. Now we get to shove food in our mouth
and run.
Run. Yeah.
The good news is I know I can eat my lunch in about 90 seconds.
There we go.
All right.
That's it. It's a wrap.